and you're still watching The Perspective. I'm at Galeri Nasional, still talking to Dr. Peter Carey on the upcoming exhibition Aku Diponegoro, Sang Pangeran Dalam Ingatan Bangsa, from Raden Saleh to today. So now we spoke about how Diponegoro is being put on pedestal for his ideologies, for his what he thinks he strive for. How do you still see that in today's Indonesia and the last 50 years and the last 20 years, maybe in the last 1 year, of how people fought for democracy, people fought for freedom, the ideologies? Are we still sharing those thoughts that he once fought for?
I think there are a lot of resonances. The resonances to do with the place of Islam in modern Indonesian society. There's an issue to do with how Indonesians negotiate their role as global citizens, but also have a sense of anchorage in their own culture. When Diponegoro, Diponegoro was not just a battlefield leader, he was not just a very skilled administrator, he was not just a mystic, and he was not just a Wong Islam yang saleh.
He's got all the made of leader.
Yeah, but he's also an author. He produces the first autobiography in an Indonesian language, which is the Babad Diponegoro. And in that, he puts everything he knows about Javanese culture and about the history and about the beliefs and about wayang and about gamelan and everything, so that his children growing up in Makassar can know, Sangkan Parandumadi, where they come from, and they're Javanese, and this is a kapal dari Nabi Nuh. It's a Noah's Ark, so that into the future, people are not going to luntur. They're not going to just forget everything, And at the present time, this is the greatest challenge for Indonesia, It's not just about the economy, it's about your soft power. If you look at the states which have been successful since the war, Korea, Germany, Japan. These have been states which have been able to rejoin back with their past. China to some extent also, They've, Germany, which just hit the buffers, completely. It had its Sonderweg, it had its special path, which ended in complete tragedy. They joined up with an older, non-imperial past to create a Bundesrepublik. And it's mandated by the constitution that you study Nazism, I think this rejoining of the past, which is pre-colonial, is essential for Indonesians, so that they have a sense of dignity. They can negotiate the modern world without a cringe factor. They can go to Kuala Lumpur, they can go to London, they can go to Tokyo and say, look, I've got something which you don't have. And I think this is vital because as in the world of biology, you need biodiversity in order to survive. We need the biodiversity of cultures in order to survive. And if this is just swamped by a tide of Americanism, this is going to be a loss, not just for you, but for the whole of humanity. We need lots of cultures which are Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, different but we are one, because we're all part of a global village. But we have a different wisdom to offer, 3 great manuscripts from Indonesia are now recognized as part of the 300 which are recognized as Memory of the World by UNESCO. One is the Ila Galigo, which is about the creation myths of the Bugis, which came from the Kraton of Luwu in South Sulawesi. One is the Negara Katagama, the description of the realm by Emperor Prapanca about the glory days of Majapahit, 1365, in the 14th century. And the third is the Babad Diponegoro. These texts must be part of the warp and woof of you growing up. Not just these texts, the Babad Gyanti or the Surat Centini or whatever, but if you go into any bookshop, you're not going to find them. If you go online, you're not going to find them. Tidak masuk akal. It's not believable that if you were living in London, you couldn't get Milton, Chaucer, Dickens, Byron, Shelley. If you were living in China, you couldn't get the great classical works of Chinese literature. They would all be available for you. And we need to educate, to train, and to essentially prepare a new generation of leaders who know who they are. Who am I? Where am I going? where do I come from?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and we'll talk more about the exhibition mainly that is happening on February 6th throughout March 8th. Yes, and we'll talk to Peter what it takes for such one of the biggest exhibition in Indonesia. We'll be right back.